Welcome back. What we've done so far is we have put our Circles on Quilts Spinning Wheel 36, and this is a 5.5 inch template. So we've got the original motif in here. And then we used our 12-inch arc and we echoed. Now what we are going to do is we are going to use our 36 spinning wheel 36 again, and you can see hopefully what I've drawn out here is we're going to make another star tip. I'm just going to call it a star tip for lack of a better word. And what we're going to do is we're going to put one star tip in each of the valleys. This would be my mountain, this would be my valley, and we're going to come out with each one. Before we do that, however, we do have to do a little bit of marking. And what I've got here is I have just a plain ruler, and I am coming from the tip of the echo, which is right here. Do it that way so you can see it. I'm going to measure down 1/2 inch and just put a little mark here. Okay? Now the 1/2 inch mark is going to be very close, but it may not be perfectly on every rotation. Don't worry about that. That's the least of our worries right now. What we want is we want to set a goal to hit. So there we go. Again, going to go this way, go all the way around. I did extend my 16 points out a little further, and really it would be advantageous to just do a 16 crosshair to begin with. I just didn't think about going this far with this video, so that's why I didn't. Now I think this is going to be my last one. Doesn't take long. Okay, so I've got my 1/2 inch. And I'm going to take my Circles on Quilts Spinning Wheel 36. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to line up my tack hole right here on this point of the motif. So right where the A and B collide or come together, we're going to put the tack hole. Then I'm going to make sure that I have the straight line lined up, coming up through here, so it's basically coming through that rotation, that 16 rotation line, and I'm going to move you first. I want to make sure you can see this clearly, and obviously we're just a little bit too far. There we go. I'm going to put my needle down right on that echo line. So I'm going to put my foot down, go ahead, drop my needle, and pull my bobbin thread up. There we go. Come on. I know you can do it. There it is. Okay. I'm going to go back to that spot, put my foot down, and again drop my needle. If you have a needle up, needle down function on your machine, this would be a great time to set it in the needle down position. Okay. I'm going to hold these threads back. All I'm doing is stitching from this line to this line. So from echo line up, take that extra stitch, and back down to echo line. Okay, here we go. Take my first stitch in place so I don't end up with toe catchers. Remember to take that extra stitch when you get to the top. And we're going to stop at the echo line. I'm going to go ahead and take our template off. My tape really is sticky. Now what we're going to do is we're going to travel. We're going to travel on this echo line up to the point and back to that 1/2 inch mark that we made. Now what you can do, by all means you can do, is use your straight 12-inch arc. Go ahead and double check that you've got the perfect 1/4 inch there. And take your time, but keep your needle moving. Okay, so now I am right above. I'm going to stop and I'm going to turn my fabric so that I'm coming towards myself. Okay, come on you. I guess I can get rid of my pen now. Don't need it anymore. There we go. And what's really kind of cool about this is you'll be marked up with your 12-inch arc, because when we stitched our echo on, we had our 12-inch arc just hanging over that line of stitching on our motif. And we're going to need 1/2 stitch there and there. We're going to stop right there. Now I'm going to put my circles on quilts back on. Go ahead and turn my fabric. The reason I'm doing this much turning is that I want to make sure that you see everything clearly. There's my template. Again, okay, now I have lined up my template with the hole right on the tip there. Came out perfect. And up we're going to go. We want to make sure that this line is lined up on the extending line that we put in. And we're going to come down until we hit that echo line. There we go. Take our template off again. Put that to the side. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use my 12-inch arc to travel. If you're comfortable traveling, you certainly don't need to. Stop right at that point, and I leave my needle in and turn my fabric. There we go. Now I'm going to flip my ruler back. Here's my mark right here. So I'm going to stitch right to that mark. There we go. Put my template back on. It's just repeating the same steps over and over again. Well, goodness, come on you. There we go. Most of our newer templates have what's called a needle channel, so they don't have the puzzle pieces. And those seem to be somewhat easier. Okay, so you can see right now I need to move. And in order to get my template where I want it, I need to move down a bit. And, oh, just one more stitch, I think. Now a 1/2 stitch. I didn't take a whole stitch. It must have been a 1/2 stitch. There we go. Now I'm exactly where I need to be. Remember when I said to mark those 1/2 inch? That was an approximation. We can't be absolutely sure until we do each rotation. And here we go around. And we're going to stop at the echo point right there. We don't want to go into the echo. We just want to stop at the echo. Now we can take our template off again. And you see what's happening here? Isn't that cool? We're adding another start point, basically. and then we can go ahead and do some more fun stuff with that. So I'm going to do one more for you, and then I'm going to stop the video. We're going to put you on pause while I go ahead and do the rest of these. Okay, make sure to check your foot every now and again. It looks like mine has tried to move itself up a little bit. There we go. There. That we got to the top. It is much easier to be able to turn your block on this one, especially when you're first doing these templates. However, as time goes on, what's going to happen is you're going to learn how to do it in each direction so that you don't have to. Okay, let's go here. And we need to get just half a stitch. There we go. Perfect. Actually, I don't even think I need to put my gate back in. Oh, it's getting close, but I didn't need to. I guess I wouldn't advise to leave the gate out. That might be getting a little on the dangerous side there. Maybe if it were one stitch up further away, it would be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this all the way around. Okay, isn't that cool? I just really, really like it. It's just fun. It was really fun. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to take a look at the next step. Okay, so until we meet again, let's quilt. We're back. I went ahead and finished up all of my points. I really am liking the way it looks. You can get a good idea here of where we're at. Now we're going to use the dreaded 4-inch arc, which just happens to be one of my favorite templates. It didn't start out that way. The 4-inch arc was my nemesis. I couldn't seem to make a smooth stitching line around the edge of it, but determination got the best of me, and now it just is one of my favorites because it's so versatile. There's so much you can do with it and so many great looks you can get with it. So I've kind of drawn this out a little bit, so we are going to start putting some arcs around the motif that we started. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. We will need our spacing gauge and our 4-inch arc. I do like to have staple tape on these two ends, and when working with arcs, I think it's important to keep a finger here. As you can see, if you hold it down here, what's going to happen is it's going to pop up. But if you keep your finger here, it's going to keep it lying flat on the surface of your quilt. So I am going to go, and it doesn't matter which star point you start on, okay? I'm just going to pull my bobbin thread up at the tip of a point. The first round, what we're going to do is we're going to go between each start point. And then we're going to come back later and just go around the large star points. Okay, so what I've got now is I know that I'm 1/4 of an inch away. I'll pull you in here. And we'll just adjust a tad. And I think we could come in 1 or 2 more. There we go. But what we want is we want our line of stitching to stop at this point. So in order to do that, I am going to take my spacing gauge and I'm going to hold my 1/4 inch spacing gauge right where I want my stitching to stop, which is going to be right here. So from here to here, we are going to just make a smooth, nice little smooth arc. It's not going to be too big, it's just kind of a fun one. And we're bringing it right to that point, and we will stop on that point. We're going to now move our spacing gauge again, or I'm sorry, our arc again, and grab our spacing gauge. And again, I'm going to find my 1/4 inch space here. I already am a 1/4 of an inch on this side, but I need to ensure that I'm going to stop a 1/4 of an inch on the star that I am going to. And there we go. Perfect. I'm going to continue this all the way around. I would advise to turn your fabric as you're learning to do this. You know, if you've been stitching a while, if you've been using rulers and templates a while, you don't have to turn your fabric. You can turn your template around, and I got hung up on something here. Okay, that's something we want to avoid whenever possible. Again, there's my 1/4 inch. And this is not something that takes a long time. It's just something that you want to be careful with, okay? You definitely want to make sure that you're a 1/4 of an inch away from that tip, that your template is a 1/4 of an inch away, and then you're going to end up perfect every time. Here we go. We'll do another one. There. And like I said, this does not take long. Make sure I'm using my 1/4 inch, not my 1/8 inch. That would be disastrous, especially because I really don't like ripping out stitches. So we want to avoid that at all costs. Almost all the way around this motif now. Just a few more to go, and here I came up just a little bit short, but it's okay. I'm just going to hand wheel it over to the point, and nobody's going to ever be the wiser that that happened. Perfect. Just got a few more to do, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to put the second round of arcs onto this design. Okay, I think I'm going to be dropping things here if I don't move them. The 4-inch arc is a really nice size. It can accommodate so many different templates to embellish them and to come up with ideas and just have fun with it. I keep saying one of these days I want to do a whole quilt with just arcs, and that still may happen. I've got a couple others that have to come first though. There we go. Just 2 more and we are there. And you see, this really doesn't take long at all. Okay. And one more and we're home free. Okay. I'm not going to break thread here. Okay, where we are now is exactly where we started. I'm going to back you up here so you can get a good look at it. all the way around, and these are the arcs that we just put in. I mean, that's really kind of cool. I love how it looks, but of course it's not enough. We're going to make another arc, and we're going to use our 4-inch arc again. This time, however, rather than going from here to here and here to here, we're going to go from the outside star to the outside star. Excuse me. So I already have my 1/4-inch mark on this side because my needle is in at the point. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to bring you back in so you can see better. There we go. I'm going to measure my 1/4 inch with my spacing gauge, and I'm going to go from the inside star to the inside star. So let's go ahead and set that up. There we go. Now around we go. And we're going to stop when we get to the next long point. I call them long point for lack of better term, I guess. And this is even going to take less time than the first round of arcs. There we go. Because this time we only have 8 to do. Last time we had 16 to do. So here I'm going to check with my spacing gauge again. Come around. And stop when we hit that tip of that star. Perfect. Now make sure your needle is down before you take your hands off and move your fabric, because if your needle is up, you could end up anywhere. You don't want that. Okay, so here's another one. Halfway there. You notice how I slow down when I get to the end. It's because I want to just make sure I can see if I'm going to be ending up where I want to be, and if I need to make any adjustments, because there's times when I may want to make a small adjustment. That's not a big deal at all. It's quite easy to do. The more you work with the templates, the easier you will find it to be. There we go. 2 more and we are home. Awesome. All right. And one more. I really like the way this looks. This is really kind of cool. And of course we can free motion in some of these spaces if we wish. You may want your free motion motifs to be rather small. Micro stippling would be a good idea. Okay, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to back you out here. And this is what we have now. We're getting larger and larger. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and measure our design, and it is now 8 inches across, 4 inches from the center in each direction. Remember, we started with 5.5 inches. Now we have grown this design up to 8 inches. So it's a great way to fill in those larger blocks. And what we'll do is we'll come back. I'm going to grab another idea out of my idea book, and we're going to see if we can make this just a little bit bigger yet. So until I see you again, let's quilt.